Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday and welcome to our Working with Renters training. My name is Robert with Elite Ocean View Realty. Guys, thank you so much for joining us for this very important training. Today, we're going to talk about the entire procedures that we take as realtors when we're helping our tenants. All right, so stay tuned. We got a lot to cover. If you have any questions throughout our presentation, please feel free, unmute yourselves, ask questions. This is meant to be an interactive training. If you prefer to not ask questions, then of course you can chat with me, and I usually look at the chats and I answer all of your questions. We are recording our session, and as always, you will be able to rewatch our videos later on this afternoon. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. We have a lot to cover today. We're also going to share some documents with you later on in the chat so you guys can download to your computers. So you can have a lot of the documents that we're going to share with you right now in class. All right, so of course, when you're working with renters, we're usually going to represent the tenant. If you are representing the landlord, there's a slight different approach to when you represent the landlord, and we'll discuss that today as well. So primarily right now, this entire page is when we're working with an actual tenant. All right, so I'm going to share with you this through our chat, but for now, let's just take a look at what we have here. We begin with establishing a communication with this rental prospect, whether it was a lead that was given to you by Elite or it was a referral from maybe a friend of yours or family or one of your own leads. You want to establish communication with them. You want to find out their needs, and especially you want to find out if they're working with another agent. Guys, do not waste time working with someone that is currently working with another agent. Basically, there is no exclusivity when it comes to signing up a tenant like you do with a buyer, where you have an exclusive buyer broker agreement. With a tenant, there is no exclusive rental agreement. So a tenant can pretty much use multiple realtors to find them the right place. All right, so if they are working with another realtor, let them know that they're in good hands. Obviously, if they're working with an elite agent, one from our company, most definitely let them know that they're in great hands. All right, so you want to build a rapport with them. Of course, you want to talk to them. You want to pretty much be their friend so you can gain trust in them. All right, so you want to ask what type of properties they're interested. Then, of course, you're going to offer to build a search on the MLS based on their criteria. Okay, so once you send them listings to the MLS, you don't just want to sit and wait. You want to make sure they did receive the listing. So go ahead and give them a call. Okay, a lot of us prefer to send text messages, and that's okay. I do like to send text messages too, but you want to make a phone call, right? You want to call them. You want to make sure, hey, did you receive the listings that I'm sending you? Please let me know which properties you're interested in so we can schedule a showing right away. All right, so send the listings via email. Ask them to save the properties they would like as favorites. And then go ahead and proceed to schedule to see the properties at their earliest convenience. All right, we are realtors, of course. Some of us have full-time jobs and we may not be able to see properties at their earliest convenience. However, we're going to try and make it work, right? So you want to schedule the properties. Now, when you're scheduling the properties, there are instructions in the MLS, right? When you're looking at a listing, and it may say schedule through showing assist, or they may say call or text listing agent, right? So you want to make sure that you follow those instructions from the MLS listing. All right, let me go ahead and review real quick here in the chat. All right, so it's just a simple good morning. All right, good morning to everyone. Yes, so you definitely want to make sure that you schedule the showings. And then once you schedule the showings, if the property is on Supra Lockbox, guys, make sure that everyone here has the Supra e-key downloaded to your mobile device. This is a free app that we're going to use as realtors. Everyone has access to the Supra e-key. All right, so you want to download that Supra e-key. If that property is in a Supra lockbox, then you want to open it using your mobile device. If the property is in a combination lockbox, of course, you want to know the combination And you want to know the location of the lockbox. A lot of us sometimes get to the property and we don't know where the lockbox is. It's hidden behind a tree, next to some plumbing, right? On a gate, on a fence, around the corner. You want to make sure you know the location of the lockbox prior to getting to the property with your client, so we're not running around looking for that lockbox. All right. So after your client has decided that they like the property and they'd like to place an offer, then you're going to have to gather some information. Normally, I always tell my clients after our first meeting, even if they don't like the property that we're looking at, that in order to proceed with any lease, I need to gather some information. So what information is needed? Usually you're going to need a copy of their identification. So a photocopy or a picture of their driver's license or identification. You're also going to need proof of income, usually 3 months of banking statements, sufficient. Sometimes you're also going to need pay stubs. So whether it's 3 months of banking statements or pay stubs, that's usually one of the requirements by any landlord when renting out a property, is to see your income. And then you're going to need a full tenant screening, which includes a credit check and a criminal background check. There are several options for us that we can use, and I'll show them to you inside of the Miami dashboard for full criminal background check and credit checks. And usually they're between, I want to say $28 to $39. And you're going to charge that to the tenants, right? The tenant is going to pay for that. And you will need that type of report for anyone over the age of 18 that's going to occupy the property. All right, so this is going to be for anyone over the age of 18 that will occupy the property. All right, so after you've collected all of this information, then you are going to prepare a contract to lease. So whenever you see the words or the letters CTL, that is the abbreviation for contract to lease. Now, a contract to lease is the actual offer, and we're going to show you today how to prepare a contract to lease. All right, so once you prepare the contract to lease, you're going to gather all the information, like the rental application, like the tenant screening, the proof of income, and the copy of the identification, and you're going to send it all in a package over to the listing agent as an offer, right? So send all documents together as a package to the listing agent. Now, once the CTL or the contract to lease has been accepted, right? Once your offer has been accepted, now it is your turn to collect the deposit, which is usually the first month. You want to collect that in our escrow account. So there are several ways you can do this. One is that you can use our the Earnest app, which is an app that you can download to your phones, and you can then invite the tenant to deposit the money electronically to Elite Ocean View Realty's escrow account. All right, so that's one, and that's pretty much the easiest way we can do this. Another way is to actually collect a cashier's check or money order from the tenant for the first month. And again, that's payable to Elite Ocean View Realty. We are going to hold escrow. You are going to deliver the escrow check to either the Coral Gables office or the Miami Beach office, and you're going to alert the help center, Elite Help Center. You're going to alert them that you have delivered a check over to the Coral Gables office. And if I am at the Coral Gables office, you're going to drop it off with me. If you drive through the Miami Beach office, just leave it on Tail's desk. And then alert Elite Help Center that you have dropped off a check so they can produce an escrow letter. All right. So in order to request an escrow letter, you are going to need obviously the escrow check and a copy of the signed contract to lease. You are going to email it to elitehelpcenter@gmail.com. You can copy Tail, you can copy myself, and we will then produce an escrow letter for you. All right. Now, guys, if there is a fast move-in, so today is September 24th. If our tenant is moving in by October 1st, then maybe you don't need to collect an escrow. You can just have the tenant bring all 3 months of the move-in the day of the move-in. All right. So basically, we can proceed right to the lease, and then we can go right to the move-in and then have the tenant bring all 3 months. All right. In this case, it'll be what? One check for Elite Ocean View Realty, one check for the other brokerage, and then one check for the landlord for the 2 months. All right. Now, once a lease agreement is presented to your tenant, they're going to review it and they're going to sign the entire lease agreement. You, as the tenant agent, there's going to be one page in that lease agreement that you're going to have to sign as well. So a copy of that lease agreement will be sent to you, and it's usually prepared by the listing agent, the agent representing the landlord. Okay, so once that lease agreement is signed and we are now set to move in, once we approach that move-in date, there is some instructions. So first and foremost, we want to schedule that walkthrough inspection date, which is usually the move-in date. Once we have that, you're going to send the lease agreement and the CTL and a completed disbursement form over to the Elite Transaction Coordinator. And that address is eliteofficetc@gmail.com. You want to copy Tail or you want to copy myself. And then you're going to request, all right, a check to be written for the listing brokerage. And you must do this about 72 hours prior to your move-in, because of course we need to just verify that everything is in place. And then we need to cut a check over to the listing brokerage. And then you need to come to one of our offices to pick up the check. Whether it's the Miami Beach office or Coral Gables office, we can have a check ready for you. Guys, make sure that you collect a $95 transaction fee for each rental transaction. That can be collected during escrow or it can be collected at move-in. All right. So if you don't collect a $95 transaction fee, it will be taken off of your commission. All right. So make sure that we collect a $95 transaction fee from your client. All right, so once you guys go to the walkthrough inspection, everything checks out. The tenant has paid the landlord the 2 months, and everything has now successfully closed. You're gonna send that walkthrough inspection to Elite Transaction Coordinator. Again, that's eliteofficetc@gmail.com. You can copy me or you can copy Tail to secure your commission. All right, we will disperse your commission after you have successfully submitted the walkthrough inspection form. Okay, now Elite, we pay our commissions twice a week on Tuesdays and Fridays. So no matter when you submit that walkthrough, you will get paid right away on the following pay date. Okay. All right, so next up here, we have a copy of the contract to lease. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of show you how to fill out a contract to lease, and this is all a template that I have drawn up for you, and I will share all of this with you in the chat. So beginning with the contract to lease here, we're looking at the CTL. Line 1, of course, is going to be the landlord's name, so make sure we know the owner's name. Line 2 is going to be your client's name or your tenant's name. All right. Right here, we have date of the expiration of your offer. So usually we like to place about 3 calendar days. So if today's Tuesday, we may want to say that this offer expires on Friday. And then here, the deposit collected. So how much are we collecting in deposit? So let's say the rent is $2,000. Then of course, you're going to place here $2,000 that we are collecting in deposit. Notice that it says here, Elite Ocean View Realty, upon acceptance of this offer, is going to be holding the escrow, right? This is going to be deposited to Elite Ocean View Realty upon acceptance of this contract to lease. Do not collect the deposit before the CTL has been executed. Only collect the deposit after both tenant and landlord have signed the CTL, okay? Of course, number 3 is the property address. Number 3 here, underneath, if there are any other occupants of the property other than those that are on the lease, then you're going to place them down below. So any other occupied or occupants that are besides the lessees, then you're going to place them there. Number 4, the lease term begins, the lease term ends. And then number 5, this is a sum of all money dues before closing. So basically, on the contract, this is going to start to add up everything you place down here. So if we place here first month and we place a security deposit and we place last month, then all of this is going to add up and it's going to put here total due at move-in. So that would be number 5. All right, guys, so make sure that $95 is also here, and this is collected with the escrow or at move-in. Okay, down here where it says the paragraph 2 deposit will be credited as follows first month. So if you go to paragraph 2, the deposit, all right, that's going to be the first month. That's all you have to check. Check the first one, and you're going to put over here $2,000 or whatever the first month is, right? Number 6 here, rent payments. All right, so right here is the total of the entire 12-month term. So if it is $2,000 a month, you're going to multiply 2,000 times 12. That's 24,000. And you're going to put here $24,000. And then if the rent is going to be paid on the first of each month, you're going to place a little check here or an X. And you're going to say on the first day of each month. And the rent is $2,000 in this example, right? Now, if they're moving in on the 15th and you're going to be collecting rent on the 15th, then of course you're going to place here the 15th of every month and the rent that is due on the 15th. If by chance your tenant is paying the entire year upfront, then you're going to place a little check here where it says in full on and then the amount of. So if they're going to prepay the entire year, then you're going to check in full, place the date, and the amount that they're paying. All right, as far as utilities are concerned, you're going to look at the MLS, see what utilities are included, what's not included. Also, whatever utilities are usually paid by the landlord, you're going to place them here, right? So right here it says utilities connections to the property except for water, sewer, and garbage, which landlord agrees to pay. So, usually the tenant's going to pay for electricity. They're going to pay for different things. All right, just make sure that we know what the landlord pays and you're going to place them here. So we put a little example here of water, sewer, and garbage that in this example, the landlord pays. All right, but it's not always going to be the case. Just make sure that you look for it in the MLS. And then what type of maintenance is the tenant going to perform? They're going to always swap out the AC filters. Now, this is not actually the lease, right? So once the landlord prepares the lease, they're going to send it over with the actual terms. All right. So what maintenance is included, what maintenance needs to be responsibility of the tenant, how much maintenance as far as dollar value is responsibility of the tenant. So all of that's going to be given to you by the landlord in the lease agreement. Right? If there is an application for an association, you're going to place the application fee here. And by when do you need this application to be approved? So if we are moving in October 15th, normally I'd like to see that application approved at least 5 days prior to the move-in date. All right, so that gives us enough time to be secure that we have been fully approved and we can move in. So I normally place the date here at least 5 days prior to that move-in. Number 12, any additional terms, you're going to place them here. Any additional terms or requests by the tenant, you place them here. And then you're going to come down here and have your tenant sign the CTL. Once your tenant signs the CTL, you get ready to send the entire package over to the listing agent as an offer. Of course, on the email, you want to make sure that you describe that you're sending an offer for this property, your tenants are qualified and ready to go, and that you wish to, close this transaction with them or work on this transaction with them as soon as possible. All right, so keep following up, guys. Some of them may ignore you at the beginning. Just keep following up. Let them know that, hey, we're waiting. You have an expiration date on this CTL, so usually they need to tell you yes or no during that first 3-day period. All right, so this is also a copy of the disbursement form, which I'm also going to send to you via the chat. And the disbursement form is usually typed up and turned into our Elite Transaction Coordinator as you get ready to go to your move-in. Remember, 72 hours prior, you want to go ahead and type one of these up and send it over to our Elite Transaction Coordinator. The reason why is because if we're holding escrow and we need to write a check to the other broker, we need ample time to prepare the check and then have you come to our office and pick it up. So this is how you prepare a disbursement form. So the agent name, which is your name, the property address. Is this an elite lead or no? So was the lead given to you by Elite Ocean View or not? Is this a sales transaction or a rental transaction? Of course, you're going to check rental transaction. And then right here, please specify the amount received by Elite, not your commission split. So the entire amount that we collected in escrow. All right, so for example, if the rent was $2,000 and we collected $2,000, then you're going to write here $2,000. If you collected 2,000 plus the $95, then that means you collected a total of $2,095. You're going to write the amount here. All right, that's the total escrow collected. And then how did we collect the escrow? Was it electronically through Earnest? Or was it sent by mail? Or did you drop off the check at one of our locations? Okay. All right, so that is how you specify whether you collected the escrow or not. Now, on the rental, there's always going to be a $95 transaction fee. So make sure that you say, yes, you collected the $95 and you're going to write the amount here. For a sales transaction is $495. All right, so for a rental, it's $95. Say, yes, you collected it and you're going to write it there. If you did not collect the $95, then you're going to go ahead and say no. All right, so moving on here for rentals only. In the event that we collected the escrow, we're holding on to an entire first month, and the compensation is to be divided by the two brokers, 50-50, equally. Then you're going to put here half a month. You're going to put the amounts. So in this case, if the rent was $2,000 and escrow was $2,000, then we're going to say $1,000 is the amount of the split, which is half a month. And you're going to place the name of the broker here, the name of the brokerage that we have to pay that $1,000 to. All right. So if it's ABC Broker who represents the landlord and you are going to the closing, you need to take a check for $1,000 to ABC Broker. All right. Does that make sense, guys?
Yes, one quick question. The month is also, if it's a short-term rental, less than a year, is it also a full month?
So it's whatever you discuss with the listing agent. Remember, once upon a time, you were able to see what the compensation was on the MLS. It's no longer the case. So whatever you negotiate with the listing agent, if you negotiate 5% of the entire lease term, or if you negotiate half a month. Okay.
Okay. Got it. Thank you.
All right, perfect. And then dropping down here, this is not for sales, this is only for rent. But you drop down here, do you have a mentor at Elite Ocean View Realty? If you do, then you say yes, and then what is the name of that mentor? And then go ahead and have it signed. Sign it. This is the disbursement form. You're gonna need this for every closing, whether it's a rental or a sales. But especially if we are holding escrow, you need to submit this at least 3 days before your closing, your move-in. Give us time to prepare the check, guys. Give us time to prepare the check and have it ready for you. All right, so this is the form you're going to take with you to your closing, which is the walkthrough inspection form. It's a very simple form to fill out. You're going to place the tenant's name up here and the landlord's name, the address of the property, and these are the items that you inspected. All right, usually the landlord agent is also going to be there and they're going to do their own form of walkthrough, right? Whether it's a videotaped walkthrough or point by point inspection like we're doing here, they're going to do their own walkthrough inspection and have the signatures as well. This is important, guys, because if something was not broken when the tenant moves in and then it's broken a little later, right? At least we know that the tenant broke it. But if the refrigerator was damaged, right? And 6 months later, the refrigerator is still damaged, at least we know that we checked refrigerator was damaged. All right, so check all the inspected items, and then what items down here were not in good conditions. And then basically come here, have your tenant sign it, and that they agree to move into the property based on what they saw. All right. Now, there are occasions when the landlord says, so the refrigerator needs to, something in the refrigerator needs to be fixed, and we'll fix it this weekend. All right. So basically, you want to write it here, landlord agrees to fix the refrigerator by this weekend and have your tenant sign it. Okay. This is a walkthrough inspection form, guys. You need to submit this for any transaction in order to get paid. All right. We're only going to submit the commission once you send over the walkthrough inspection form. All right, guys, any questions before I actually jump into the form simplicity and show you how to prepare some of these agreements? Any questions?
Hi, good morning, Robert. Just a fast question. Where do we write, for example, landlord need to fix the refrigerator in what part of the
Anywhere,
form?
anywhere. I mean,
Anywhere?
so see here it says good and operable condition. So all items on the property are in good and operable conditions, with the exception of the items listed below. So there's 6 lines here that
All
you
right,
can say refrigerator's broken. And then off to the side, you can just write it, landlord agrees to fix the refrigerator this weekend.
thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Okay. All right, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and stop sharing here. And if you guys look in your chats, I'm going to share 4 documents right now. If you are on a mobile device, maybe you're not able to download the documents, but if you are on a computer, go ahead and download these documents. I just shared with you the walkthrough inspection form. I shared with you the disbursement form. I also shared with you that rental application, which I haven't shown it to you yet, but I shared with you a rental application, and I also shared with you the rental procedures. All right, what we just reviewed. This rental procedures was prepared by me, and basically it's the step-by-step procedures when we're working with a renter. All right, so you have all of that in the chat. Feel free to download those documents. Guys, if you have any questions when in regards to any of these documents, you can always reach out to me. You can reach out to Teo, or you can contact our help center, elitehelpcenter@gmail.com. All right, so let me go ahead and now share my screen here, and we're going to jump right into some action. All right, so give me 1 second. All right, we are now looking at a listing that's on the MLS. All right, so we look at the listing, right? And you're gonna look through the showing instructions, right? You're gonna look through the showing instructions, and it says call listing agent. So if it says call listing agent, of course, we gotta go ahead and call the listing agent and try and schedule an appointment to see the property. This property is vacant. So in some cases, there will be a lockbox, because if it's vacant, then you can pretty much go and show it anytime. All right. But still call the listing agent. Now, read the instructions, guys. Association requires a 700 credit score or higher and proof of income. So if you know your client has, say, a 600 credit score, still submit the offer, because if your client wants to submit the offer and pay maybe an additional month, we may be able to work things out. Never deny your client the opportunity to submit an offer, but just let them know, hey, look, the association has a minimum 700 credit score requirement. Why would the association have that? I have no clue. You're not paying the association. You're paying who? You're paying the landlord. But either way, don't deny your client the opportunity to try and submit an offer and work things out. Okay. Now, if the showing assist is enabled, then you want to schedule with showing assist. All right. So let me go ahead and show you real quick here. This is the property that we're looking at. You see it down here, showing time. All right, so we're gonna click on showing time. If it's enabled, then you'll be able to schedule a showing. There it is, it's enabled. Guys, we're gonna go ahead and click on schedule a single showing, and it's gonna tell us when we can show it. So it is not available today, Tuesday. However, it'll be available tomorrow or Thursday or Friday. Usually, if I go back here, it probably tells you 24-hour notice. All right, 24-hour notice. I'm looking for it, maybe not. So it's just not available today. All right. So you schedule your showing, right? You schedule your showing for Wednesday at this time and then click on request appointment. Now, see up here where it says appointment required, wait for confirmation. All right, so that means that you're not immediately confirmed yet. You got to wait for the listing agent to review the showing request and confirm it. Guys, get into a habit of actually calling the listing agent and letting them know, hey, I just sent you a showing request through showing time. Can you please let me know if we're confirmed or not? Don't automatically assume the listing agent is going to see the request. All right, I know that the showing time is going to send a text message to the listing agent. And I know that showing time is also going to maybe call and leave a voicemail to the listing agent. So it's not like they're going to ignore it. They're going to see it. They just may not respond to you right away. So just get into a habit of calling them, letting them know that you requested an appointment. All right. So once you request an appointment, you see the property and your client likes the property. Where is form simplicity? You see right here? That's form simplicity. Also, how do we find out who owns the property? Right next to form simplicity is IMAP. IMAP is a public record system. If you click there, it's going to open up IMAP. And right now, we have the owners of the property right there, Neil and Ellen. Right? So you guys can write those down because you're going to need that in your CTL. All right. So you're going to write those down. Those are the owners of the property. Let me go back here. See that there is a question, I think, coming through the chat. So all right. So how does the agent receive their request? They're going to receive their request via email. They're also going to receive their request via text message and a phone call. So showing assist or showing time is going to alert the agent in multiple ways: email, phone call, text message. Just like when you guys request a showing and it's confirmed or declined, you're going to be notified via email, text message, and also voicemail. All right, moving on, guys. So we're going to click on form simplicity, right? Click on form simplicity. It's going to start up a new transaction. Right away, it's going to start up a new transaction. Right? You come here and you're going to place the list prices there. You're going to place the seller's landlord's name. So who are the landlords? Remember that we just looked at the landlord on IMAP. All right, so I'm just going to place here ABC. All right, it's not ABC, guys. I'm just not going to go get the landlord's name right now. So you place the landlord's name there. And then this is the listing agent. Then the purchase price. So we're going to lease this property for $4,500 a month. Right. And then right here, you're going to place your clients. So who is your client? My client today is Michael Jordan. All right. And then your information is here. We click on save to a transaction. Now we're going to go ahead and name this transaction the same as the street address. So there's my transaction. I'm also going to go ahead and put in here Michael Jordan. All right, so I know that this is the transaction for 6039 Collins Avenue, penthouse 8, for my client, Michael Jordan. Property type, this is residential. Transaction type is what? A lease rental. And then go ahead and click on save to a new transaction. All right, so now that our transaction is complete, now we're going to add forms. All right, so let me check the chat real quick here. Purchase price function as a rent price in the transaction. Yes. So that section that said purchase price is the same as rent price. All right, so list price, purchase price, whether you are working a rental or a purchase, that's where you place the price. All right, so forms packages, right? We're going to go straight to the forms packages and we're going to open and we're going to add the lease package. Now, when you check the lease package, a lot of different forms are selected. All right, guys, we're going to just include 2. Do you guys know which 2 we're going to include? The contract to lease and the compensation agreement, owner listing broker to tenant broker. All right, the contract to lease, which we just reviewed, and then the new compensation agreement that alerts the landlord, right? Lets the landlord know that they are the ones paying us the compensation. All right, so we're gonna select those 2, click on add to a transaction. All right, so here we have the contract to lease and the compensation agreement. You're going to simply fill in the blanks in the contract to lease the way that we just did it right now. So I'm actually going to review it one more time. All right, you're going to see here that you have ABC, that is the landlord name. Then Michael Jordan, your client name. If I'm presenting the CTL today, then I'm going to go 3 calendar days into the future. So September 27th. This is the expiration date. All right, so $4,500 is the deposit. It's the first month, right? $4,500. Elite Ocean View Realty will hold the escrow upon execution of this contract to lease. Okay, property address. And then is anyone else occupying the property besides Michael Jordan? You place them there. Okay, lease term to begin October 15th. And it's going to end October 14th of next year. Now, this is a 9-month lease, then you're going to place there the 9-month period. Okay. Notice right now here in number 5, total money due only says $95 because this is the sum of everything you place down here. So the first month is $4,500. Now look, now it says $4,595. Okay, and then go back to the listing and what are they requiring? They're requiring a total of $13,500. All right, and then it says here they're requiring first month's rent, last month's rent, and security deposit. Very important. There is a difference, right? Some people require first month rent and 2 security deposits. In this case, they're only requiring 1 security deposit. So come back over here to Form Simplicity to the contract to lease. Last month's rent, $4,500, and then security deposit, $4,500. So we have here $4,500, $4,500, $4,500, and $95. Now, this first $4,500 is going to be due upon acceptance of the CTL. I always write that. All right, so it says it up here, right? The deposit will be paid upon execution of the CTL. So that first month is to be due upon acceptance of the CTL. Last month's and security deposit will be due on the day of the move-in. So the day of move-in is the 15th of October. Okay, 15th of October. Guys, keep in mind, this is just an offer. This is not the actual lease agreement. On the lease agreement, if you guys decide to move in on October 18th, then that would be the day of your move-in. Okay, but for your offer, you intend to move in on October 15th. So question on the chat, how long is the background check for tenants good for? Normally, any tenant screening that includes credit and criminal is good for 3 months. Good for 3 months. So if you're working with a tenant right now and you pull the background check, you have it good for 3 months. All right. Next up is your transaction fee of $95. I also say this is good upon acceptance of the CTL. All right, so it's due upon acceptance of the CTL. Now, that's the processing fee, right? The $95. Now, down here, paragraph number 2 deposit will be credited as follows. So paragraph number 2, the deposit is credited as the first month. So right here, we're going to place here $4,500, and that's it. That's all you do here, nothing else. Okay. Number 6, the tenant will pay the total rent for the lease term of, so that's $4,500 times 12 months. All right, $4,500 times 12 is $54,000. So $54,000 is the total of the entire lease term. And then we are going to pay the rent on the 15th of every month, and the rent is a total of $4,500. Everyone, everything here is making sense to everyone, right? It's pretty simple, guys. Once you get used to creating a contract to lease, you should do this in less than 3 minutes. I mean, it's really, really simple. Are pets allowed? Are pets prohibited? Go to the MLS, check it out, and then answer. Usually smoking is prohibited pretty much everywhere now, so just leave it checked. All right, so what are the utilities that are going to be covered by the tenant, and what utilities are going to be covered by the landlord? Number 9, utilities. Tenant will pay for all utilities except what you have here. All right, so what you place here is what the landlord is paying. And then right here, you're going to place here maintenance. Landlord will be responsible for maintenance and repairs of the property, except for just put in AC filters, right? That's usually something that a tenant will take care of. Is there an application fee for the association? All right, go to the MLS, see what the application fee is. So there's a $150 application fee. So come here and you're going to place here $150 application fee. And like I said, I like to get my application approved at least 5 days prior. All right, so let's go to like Wednesday, October 9th. All right, so that gives them about 3 weeks from today to get this approved. Now that we're in this subject, guys, most HOAs or associations are going to tell you we have a 2 to 3 week approval time period. All right. Once the lease is signed, your tenant now can apply for the association. As long as they, you know, properly submit the application to the association, pay any application fee that is due. As long as you get that done within time, usually an approval can be submitted within 1 week. As the tenant agent, you may want to call the following day and ask for some type of update, and then continue to follow up and try and get your tenant approved quickly. All right. Sometimes they will just wait for a week or even more to respond to your tenant, and that's not something we want to do, right? We want to make sure this gets expedited, so we can always try and have the association expedite the approval. That's it, guys. That's your CTL. Have your tenant sign it. Once your tenant signs it, you get ready to send it over to the listing agent along with all the supporting documents, copy of the license number, the application, the rental application. All right. Also, not the license number, sorry, copy of the license or the driver's license, any identification that you have for your tenant, the application, also the proof of income and credit and criminal background check. All right, so question on the chat. When we have to make changes, for example, about the closing date. All right, so again, I repeat, this is not the lease agreement. So this is just a contract to lease. If you are now negotiating, making changes on the actual lease, so when the tenant receives the lease, usually whatever you negotiated as a new move-in date should be on the lease. Okay? If a move-in date needs to be changed on the lease, then you're gonna contact the listing agent and let them know what the new move-in date will be. Okay? I'm gonna go ahead and save this, guys. Save and close. All right, so the compensation agreement is very important. Since compensation is no longer displayed on the MLS, we need to make sure that us as agents, we get paid. So you need to also include the compensation agreement, owner, listing broker to tenant broker. All right, so this is the compensation agreement that is created for all rentals. All right, so you already know you're getting half a month, right? They already told you, right? They told you over the phone. The owner is paying half a month's rent. So you're going to go here to the compensation agreement and you're going to prepare it. So the owner signs it. Okay, so it's taking a little longer to open. Hopefully it opens within the next couple of seconds. If not, I'm going to have to hit refresh. All right, come on now. All right, I don't like this. It's not happening. So I'm going to go ahead and hit back. And I'm going to open it again. There it goes. All right, so it's a simple agreement, guys. Compensation agreement, owner listing broker to tenants broker. All right, so the owners are ABC, right? So that would be the landlords. And then the listing broker, in this case, I chose a listing that's from our office. So here's the listing broker. And then you, right, are with Elite Ocean View Realty. Okay, so you are with Elite Ocean View Realty. And usually what I tell people is you're gonna come here, put Elite Ocean View Realty, and then put your name. Right? Place your name here. Now, who are you requesting payment from? You're requesting payment from the owner. Right? So you're requesting half month compensation from the owner. And then come down here. This is good for 30 days. Right? So the term, this is good for 30 days. You should be able to work out a rental within 30 days. And then compensation, right? Compensation. You're going to erase this 5% that you had there. And you're going to select here the second option or the first option. So the first option, it's a flat fee or a percentage of the first month. So if it's 50% of the first month, right, which is half a month, then you put here 50% of the first month. Okay? If you're going to do a percentage of the gross lease value, then you're going to check this one and you're going to place here, say 5% of the gross lease value. So the gross lease value was $54,000. Your compensation is 5% of $54,000. But if the agreement is that you're going to get half a month, then you are not checking the second option. You're going to check the first option and you're going to place here 50% of the first month's rent. Okay? Any questions on what we're placing here? It's only two options, right? Now, if you agree to a different compensation, let's say the compensation isn't going to be 50%. Let's say the compensation is going to be a flat fee of $1,500. You agree to work the deal for $1,500 for whatever reason. Then, of course, you can use this one here, and you're just going to put in here $1,500. And that is your compensation. You're going to erase the 50% and the 1 month. Okay? All right. So you're going to sign this down here. So who are we? We are the tenant broker. You're going to sign it. You're going to date it. And you're going to send it with the offer. And the owner of the property needs to sign it here. Owner or listing broker. But in this case, it's the owner, right? We selected the owner. If we select the listing broker, then, the signature here needs to come from the listing broker. All right. Save it. Submit this together with the contract to lease. Now, guys, the lease agreement would be the next step after the CTL has been accepted and the money has been collected in escrow, right? That lease agreement. And you're not going to prepare the lease agreement. The lease agreement will be prepared and sent to you. If you've never seen a lease agreement, I recommend that you study it. You can go here to Forms Packages, open up the lease package, and go ahead and add the residential lease agreement for a single family home, right? For a single family home. If it is a condo, then add the residential lease agreement for a multifamily or a condo. All right, go ahead and add to the transaction, and let's take a look at the lease agreement. Residential lease for sale. Sorry, for single family home or duplex, that's the one right there. And it's basically a 22-page lease agreement. Just make sure that you know how to read it. It's gonna be prepared and sent to you by the listing broker. All right, right now, Form Simplicity is experiencing just a little bit of a delay, I've noticed. So hopefully the form will open. If not, then we're going to have to move on to something else. Let me try and wake it up a little bit. Let me go here. Let me hit refresh and see what's happening. All right, here's the transaction. Let's open it. And let's go inside this lease agreement real quick. And once again, guys, if you've never seen a lease agreement, if this is the first time, just go through it and make sure that you know what it looks like and that you have your tenant read the entire lease agreement that is prepared by the listing broker and have them sign off on the lease agreement. All right, so it's not opening for me right now. Unfortunately, it's taking a very long time to open. So either Form Simplicity is giving some type of issues right now, or maybe my internet's a little slow. All right, what happens if you represent the landlord? What do you need? What do you need? What forms do you need if you represent the landlord? All right, so you're gonna need a exclusive right to lease listing agreement. All right, so before we actually go there, this is the lease agreement, guys. All right, this is the lease agreement. You're gonna have here the owner's name, right? You're gonna have the tenant's name. You're gonna have here the landlord's email address, their phone number, the tenant's email address, and their phone number. Property address, the term of the lease. So the actual begin date of the lease should be here. All right, so if it needs to be renegotiated, because on a CTL you put October 15th, but you say that we're actually going to move in on October 30th, then you need to put in here October 30th until the day that the lease ends. How much is the rent? $4,500. The rent will be due on the 1st of every month at the rent price of $4,500. All right, all rents shall be payable to the name of the landlord, ABC, in this case, right? And then the address. I normally, normally you're gonna see that the landlord accepts either cash, right, wire transfers, or Zelle payments. Okay, not many landlords are accepting personal checks. So either cash, Zelle payments, which is very popular, or wire transfers, or even direct deposits into their bank account. Okay, so you have all of that information that's going to be there, and money due prior to occupancy. Any late fees, so you'll see late fees here. Your tenant's going to have to agree to these late fees, of course. All right, so any notices here. And then what is the responsibility for each of these items? Landlord versus tenant. How many keys, how many sets of keys, mailbox keys, everything, it's going to be there. Now, if the property was built before 1978, then the lead-based disclosure here needs to be filled out, right? So usually you're going to see this. For letter A, you're going to see II, and that's going to be checked. II is lessor, right? Which is the actual owner, the landlord, has no knowledge of lead-based paint or lead-based paint hazards in the housing. And then you're going to see here for B, lessor has no reports or recordings pertaining to lead-based. So usually you're going to see both of these checked. If you happen to see I checked, that means that they do have knowledge that there is some type of lead base present in the property. All right, so question in the chat. So if the property is managed by a property manager other than the landlord, all right, and if it is determined that the property manager is going to collect the rent, then it needs to be specified up here. All right, so the money is due and all rent payments shall be payable to the property manager. And in which format shall it be paid? Zelle, cash, cashier's check, wire transfers. All right, guys, so go through this lease agreement and to have it signed by your tenant. Again, it's gonna be prepared by who? The landlord agent or the listing agent. And then that lead base disclosure, that's the page that us as tenant agents we sign. All right, so here's the lead base page, right? And then you see here agent signature for the lessees as tenant agents we sign here. Okay, otherwise the form is going to be signed by the tenant and by the landlord. All right, closing out that that lease agreement. And then I did mention I wanted to talk to you real quick. If you happen to represent the landlord, what you're going to need is a listing agreement. So I'm going to open up the forms packages. We're going to go to the exclusive right to lease. And I'm going to add the exclusive right to lease listing agreement. So we are listing a property for rent. You need the exclusive right to lease listing agreement. That is the form that we need our landlords to sign. All right, let's look at it. All right, so it's very simple, guys. Your client's name, right? The landlord's name, our name, Elite Ocean View Realty. This lease or listing agreement begins today, right? And then 6 months or a year, depending on how long you want to go with this listing agreement. The address of the property and any appliances included in the listing. In this case, it says all appliances. All right, so if the rent is $4,500 a month, you're going to check yearly and you're going to put in $54,000. If this is a month-to-month lease, then monthly. Yearly for 12-month leases. Okay. Any security deposits that will be collected, any first and last month that will be collected, you're going to write it there. And then go to compensation. Compensation number 6. What type of compensation are we seeking? Are we seeking a percentage? Or are we seeking, half of a first month or an entire month? So number 6, owner agrees to agrees to compensate broker as follows. All right, so we are the broker. Owner agrees to pay broker the following fees. We built here 10%. We're going to erase this. Check the first box, and you're going to put here blank percentage of the rent due each rental period. Second box is checked and says percentage of the gross value of the lease. Third box is percentage of the first month. So you're going to put here, if it's an entire first month, that's the compensation divided by 2 brokers, then you put here 50% of the first month's rent. If the compensation that is going to be collected is 10% or 5% of the entire lease, then you're checking box number 2. Okay, so 50% of the first month's rent, and then move on to cooperation and compensation with other brokers. Once again, you're gonna see a lot of 5%ers here. You can erase that. Okay, you're gonna erase that. You're gonna erase this here. You're gonna erase this here as well. You're gonna erase this here as well. Uncheck these. Which one are you gonna use? So the other 50%, right? The other 50%. So right here, you're gonna put here other gross value, comma, or 50% of the first month's rent, right? That's what we're doing. So you're gonna select here, and it says, and to offer compensation in the amount of blank percent of the gross value of the lease, 50% of the first month's rent. That is how you're gonna write it. Any early termination, cancellation fee, you can put it there. And that's it. Have the listing agreement signed by your landlord, and go ahead, sign it yourself. Because remember, we are going to also sign the listing agreement. Wherever it says broker associate, you sign it, and then turn it over to our elite transaction coordinator, and go ahead and add the listing to the MLS. All right, folks. Remember, as the listing agent, once you have a tenant for the property, it is your responsibility to prepare the lease agreement. So get to know that lease agreement and learn how to prepare the lease agreement. Guys, these are the steps when working with renters. Does anyone here have any question? Take the opportunity right now, please. Ask any questions you may have. I can always go back and review.
Just very quickly, if I'm not the listing agent, but I work with the listing agent, at what point do I discuss the commission split?
Meaning that you are bringing a client
Yeah,
property, so you're the tenant agent.
yes.
Normally, if you are the tenant agent and you are presenting an offer and the offer gets accepted, we are the ones collecting escrow. So that first month of $4,500 goes written to Elite Ocean View Realty. We collect the escrow. We're going to pay the other half, right? So $4,500 divided in 2, if that's the agreed compensation. The day of closing, the day of the move-in, you're going to take a check for half of $4,500 to the listing broker.
Got it. And then
And then our company pays you. your commission through direct deposit.
Yeah, because you mentioned if that's the agreed compensation, so when does the agreement take place? Basically, before you go to a showing or after the offer is accepted? When do you agree on what the compensation is going to be?
Excellent question. So in your initial conversation with the listing agent, you know, when you call her or him, when you call them, let's say I call Alexandra right now. And I say, Alexandra, I have a client looking to rent your property. I'd like to go see it. By the way, how is compensation being offered to tenant agent? And they say yes. They say half a month. So remember the compensation agreement I did?
Yeah.
This one here. Then you're gonna prepare this together with the CTL and send it over.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, all negotiations of compensations are done prior.
Got it. And I send it with the CTL then. Okay.
Yes. Okay, perfect.
All right.
Any other questions, guys? All right, well, seems like everyone pretty much understands. So that's gonna wrap up our training today. I'm gonna go ahead and upload this to our YouTube channel. Those of you that haven't visited our YouTube channel yet, here it is. All right, and I'm gonna go ahead and share this link once again in our chat. So you guys have our YouTube channel. Make sure you visit the YouTube channel and you watch the video from today's class if you want to review. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Remember, we have another class on Thursday. And those of you interested, on Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning, Tail and myself will be hosting an in-person training at our Coral Gables office. So we look forward to seeing you there. It's once a month that we do this. It's going to be at our Coral Gables office this Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, Robert.
Thank you. You too.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.